Hello world. If we've not met, my name is Jonathan Mills. I have a company, corporate culture specialist, through which I conduct organizational assessments focused on culture and develop strategies for healthy culture. Um, the reason I jumped on a live stream today is because I had the opportunity today to reconnect with an old colleague that I worked with maybe 10 years ago, who's gone on to bigger and better things than where we were. And he has this podcast, the Kind Leader podcast, and the subject is kind leadership, right? Um, and so I threw a link to this in the description. You should check it out. But what I wanted to bring up right now was something that Gino pointed out to me. I talk a lot about empathy, about operations empathy, which is this idea that empathy between people can be modeled at an organizational level, which means that you can design the ins and outs of policy, procedure, org design, rules, and whatever around empathy, right? You can make the workforce operations relationship look something like the relationship between two people. You model empathy. And what Gino pointed out to me is the way the way empathy resonates with him, and a nuance that he sees is that empathy kind of goes the other direction too. Empathy happens between people. It also happens internally for oneself, right? I can be empathetic with myself to evaluate my experiences and be objective with those experiences and give context to myself, right? Be kind to myself, and then make decisions about next step forward. If it was between myself and another person, I would be absorbing their experiences, working to understand them, and then providing some positive, supportive response. If it's at an organization level, the operations of that organization are actively picking up on the experiences of the workforce, contextualizing opportunities and needs, and then taking proactive steps, right? So it's kind of the same behavior in different sort of spheres. And I had not, although I'm aware, right? I'm aware of the need and practice of being self-reflective and helping oneself, and being kind to oneself. I didn't connect that dot until today. And I realized, and what I've struggled with this before, I'm very just analytical. I love process and straight lines and clean angles. And I think that way, I work that way, I plan that way. I'm less of a mindfulness guru, right? I'm less of a reflection guru. Although I can do those things and understand them, it's not the leadership I'm trying to provide. So I've struggled, figuring out where does my linear process work connect with pursuits for good leadership, right? With professionals I meet who are providing executive coaching services, or teaching leaders, managers, others, anyone, how to be mindful, how to be reflective, and how to make good personal choices. It's always felt like those things were disconnected a little bit. But I realized today that using empathy as an example, because there are other other things we could put in place here, but it is actually, it's not a disconnect, it's a spectrum, where if you're looking at an individual, the positive behaviors, like empathy in an individual occurs there, it's healthy, it's needed. Well, one sphere out, it's needed between people, another sphere out, it's needed within a community, another sphere out, it's needed within organization. And I think, and now let me talk to the practitioners of mindfulness out there, the practitioners of executive coaching out there. I believe that what I am trying to produce with Operations Empathy, it's a natural extension of what you're doing for individuals. If we were to take those values and those behaviors and we invest them in the individual, and then we step outside of the individual and outside of the community, working on operations the way I'm trying to, it ought to be a natural extension and expression of that individual growth. It has alignment too with the idea of responsibility. If we as individuals have power, for example, we're an organizational leader, a manager, a decision maker. If we have power, we are responsible to be healthy ourselves, to be investing in ourselves. We are equally responsible to exert that energy outwards as well and evolve the environment that we're in. I'll stop there. I wanted to share this kind of realization I had. I hope it makes sense. If you have questions, reach out. I would love to chat. I'm all about developing these positive directions for our work cultures. And it's going to be important that we have diversity of thought and diversity of discipline. So I'm going to come at it from an operations standpoint. If you're working at it from a community building standpoint or coming at it from an individual development standpoint, we are in alignment. We can be in basically supporting one another to move our overall organizational culture in a good direction. Anyway, I'll leave with that. Happy Friday, everybody. If you get a chance, do check out Gino's podcast. Our episode, I think, is coming out next week. I'm very excited. I had a lot of fun. This is actually the first time I've sat in a room with a microphone in front of my face, headphones on, and patting on the walls. And, it was a good experience, and Gino is a good facilitator. So check out his other recordings, and gosh, cheers.